Akinfolayan had been writing fictional stories since he was in JSS 2. It was a talent his best friend that year helped him discover, but it was simply for fun. Many of his classmates who read his short stories when he just started told him he was a good writer. This was the kind of feedback anyone needs to be able to keep going. By the time he graduated secondary school, he was already writing novella-length stories, and anyone who read them told him he needed to show his works to the world. But Akin had a problem. He hated typing. It feels like an allergy, and he could not afford to send the books to a publisher. He continued his journey in life and got admission into the University of Lagos, where he chose to study theatre arts. He thought this was how he would show his works to the world, through acting. Besides, movies are now more celebrated than written stories. Akin was in 200 level when he met Aishat. They started out as friends, but it didn't take long before they realized they were dating without even knowing it, so they made it official. When Aishat's uncle came to Nigeria for a visit, he met Akin. They started discussing and they spoke about Akin's talents. The man said he knows lots of publishers and a few of them will be excited to publish a Nigerian work. With so much excitement, Akin handed over his last written work to Mr. Adeniran. It was one no one had seen or read. Mr. Adeniran had requested for a soft copy, but when Akin told him it was unavailable, he had to take the manuscript. Mr. Adeniran was the one who typed the document. It ended up being a 374-page work after typing with a font 14 calibre. The first publisher he sent the work to appreciated the book and said it could use some spicing up. Mr. Adeniran consented without consulting Akin, and the book was edited. But just before it was published, the final edit was sent to Akin. After reading, he was so furious. But Mr. Adeniran told him it was a way to promote the book to the target audience. The book was about a set of students who got unexpected supernatural powers and had to put all their efforts into protecting their country. But the editor had changed the sexuality of the lead character from being straight to being gay. Akin reluctantly agreed after a lot of persuasion, but he said the book should be published under a pseudonym, and it was. The book became a bestseller. It won a few awards, but Akin could not come forward to claim them. He published other books and carried on with his life. This time, he was able to call the shots. His life was running smooth until one day. It was only a few weeks to his final examinations when he caught Aishat with another guy. He was furious. She pleaded and pleaded, but he would not listen. "It is over," he said, and that was the end of the relationship. Aishat cried for days and suddenly decided to get back at him for breaking up with her for cheating on him. She was able to gather evidence that proved to the world that Akin was the author of his first book. She knew how much he was against taking public credit for that book. Akin could not believe his eyes. He was all over social media as the gay anonymous writer, as the guy who wrote the gay erotic story while hiding in the shadows. Queer promoters were mad at him for being a faceless supporter, while everyone else was judging him for the hypocrisy. This was what he was avoiding. Akin could not think of anything else to do but to go home to his parents. A bigger mistake. His father was so mad he almost hit him. His mother was on her husband's side. He tried explaining that the gay part wasn't his idea, but just like everyone else, they refused to believe him. His father was raging because he could not believe his own son was a queer promoter. Akin called Mr. Adeniran to please explain to his parents, but they weren't having it. They said it was just a cover-up. The only thing that could save Akin right now was to get the original manuscript, and it was with Mr. Adeniran. Mr. Adeniran told him he left it in Aishat's parents' house. Akin had no choice but to go to Aishat. She told him she could give him the manuscript, but on one condition. They had to get back together. Akin didn't want that, but he needed to prove to the world, and his parents especially, that he wasn't a queer promoter, so he had to agree. She made him promise her, knowing how esteemed he holds his every promise. She gave him the manuscript after a long search, and he gave it to his parents. His father was still angry with him for agreeing to do such a thing. But after explaining that this was the very reason he had the book written under his pseudonym and how much he had to give up just because of that, the pastor, his father, calmed down. Now, the world knows he wrote the book but didn't make the queer character. He could now take credit for the works, which is even better. A blessing in disguise, because even as it has been a few years, the book was still selling out and winning awards. The only problem is he is now stuck with Aishat, the cheat, because of his promise to her. He knew things were never going to remain the same, and he was just looking for a way out. That way came out a few days after he concluded his final examinations. He found out Aishat was the one behind the leak. It took the grace of God for him to not eat her. This time, even Aishat knew they were done for good, and it was all her fault. She used the original manuscript against him because she thought he knew she betrayed him already. But now, she had no leverage. She cried like never before, wishing she never introduced him to her uncle. But it was too late. She had pushed him to glory already. Just wasn't wise enough to stay there with him.